AG. And so this was by Sami Darko. Sami Darko is the Director of Strategy, Research and Communications. This he made during a Facebook post that he made on his personal Facebook handle. Now, joining us via the Zoom is a private legal practitioner. Obviously, it's not new to Newsnight. Lawyer Richard Niyama. Counsel, good evening. Welcome to Newsnight.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker.
Now, as a legal practitioner, obviously, I'm sure you listened to the Deputy Attorney General vis-a-vis what Sami Darko, who is a Director of Strategy, Research and Communications at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I'm sure you also might have read from what he posted on his Facebook timeline. What do you make of these two claims?
Well, Mr. Speaker, it is a regular occurrence in Ghana that state institutions, instead of working together, tend to work in silos without collaborating with each other. And so I am not surprised at what is happening between the Attorney General and the Office of the Special Prosecutor. It is a general problem, and I want to believe that our government must make that consistent effort or deliberate effort to ensure that ministries, agencies, and etc. are able to collaborate more effectively and work together for the advancement of our democracy. Because very often we see that people try to show their authority in their area of jurisdiction, and it has not helped in many ways.
Do we see the Office of the Special Prosecutor working?
Well, the Office of the Special Prosecutor is relatively new. And if we consider the fact that that particular office has put a number of people before the courts, of course, their success rate has not been impressive because there are a number of people they have put before the courts and the courts have left them. But for me, as a legal practitioner, understanding how our criminal justice system works, even putting people before the court alone, I think is enough work. Because trust me, if you are put before the court for any criminal prosecution, the fact that you will be attending court almost every month, the fact that you will be on bail and be required to report to the police almost every week, and all of those things are enough impediments to make you regret ever engaging yourself in anything that puts you before the court. And if you are not lucky enough and you go to jail, it even becomes a more serious, situation. So even though their success rate is not impressive, I want to believe they are doing what they have been set up to do. Yeah.
Now, if you listen to the Deputy Attorney General, he talks about the fact that they have requested of the OSP to submit some dockets. Before this claim by the Deputy AG, we've also heard the OSP talked about the fact that he's through with his investigations, he's left with what the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta will tell them, and that at a point had to declare him wanted, fugitive of the law. I mean, these two stories do not, maybe on the hindsight, speaking from a layman's point of view, not with legal mind, do not add up. If indeed the docket is ready, why is the OSP failing to submit it to the AG? This is where the rift starts from.
Okay, so I think my understanding of what Dr. Srem's side, the Deputy AG, is saying is that they need the docket to be able to get Ken Ofori-Atta extradited from the US to Ghana, because they need to answer what in legal terms is called the political question. The political question being that the man is not just being sought after because he's a politician, but because he has actually committed some crimes that he needs to answer. Something like this, I don't think it should be difficult for the OSP to be able to submit duplicate copies of the docket to the Attorney General to enable the Attorney General to, perform its functions. However, it is quite worrying because listening to the director of strategy who spoke on, I think, Joy FM this evening, he had a lot of reservations as to how that document actually came out because he believes that the leakage of that document actually jeopardizes the lives or puts in danger the lives of some of the officers who are working with the OSP because those are just a part of a bigger document that has been sent to the Attorney General. And now just a part of it has come out, which actually details the names of the people who are supposed to go to the US and ensure that the guy has been extradited and brought to Ghana. So that is why I started my comment by saying that we have a general problem in this country about how state institutions interact with each other and work efficiently. And if we are unable to solve that problem, some of these things will never, we shall never be successful at prosecuting corruption in the first place. And at the end of the day, the state will be the one that will lose because we all agree that Ken Ofori-Atta is needed to come and answer some questions in the country. Now, if the Attorney General and the OSP cannot agree on the modalities and the docket and the information that is needed to ensure his extradition, then we have a serious problem.
Is it that the Attorney General is probably under some pressure from the public? Because if you see, if you go through how far the OSP has gone with the case, one expects that at least some few times should be given to them to be able to conclude on their investigation. Then finally, submit the docket or whatsoever to the AG. If indeed a deputy minister from the AG's office comes out to make this pronunciation publicly without maybe meeting the boss on the other side, that is the OSP, and having a conversation with him, the modalities that they want to go with, could it be then because the AG is coming under serious pressure and for that matter wants to come out public to let the public know that the problem isn't from them, but it's from the OSP. In that case, more or less giving the OSP a bad name for it to be hanged someday.
Well, that would be strange to me because the AG understands due process and the AG knows that investigations of this nature are not done on a silver platter and it takes time to be able to unravel a lot of things. But on the other side, it is also strange to me that the AG has requested for dockets from the OSP and the OSP has refused or been unable to provide the dockets to the AG because all that the OSP, in my view, needs to do is to make photocopies of those information that it has and transmit same to the Attorney General to enable the Attorney General to initiate the extradition procedures to ensure that the man has been extradited to Ghana. And so again, it comes back to the same issue of how state institutions are able to collaborate with each other in order to work for the benefit of Ghana. If on a simple matter like this, the AG and the OSP are not able to collaborate effectively to work, then Ghana has a very serious problem.
Now, looking at what you said earlier on, it has to be with more or less fighting over jurisdiction. This is where my power starts. This is where my power ends. Did we really need the OSP at all?
Well, the OSP, as we understand it, has been established for a very particular purpose, that is to deal with political corruption cases. I am of the view that the OSP is a necessary evil, but I'm also of the view that the way in which the OSP has been set up, the OSP will never be able to fight political corruption. Why am I saying this? The OSP, if you look at the act very carefully, and if you look at Article 88 of the Constitution, the OSP is always going to need some freedom from the Attorney General before the OSP can work, because it is a little bit of the powers of the Attorney General which has been, given to the OSP. If you read Article 88, it is abundantly clear that it is the Attorney General who is responsible to initiate and end all prosecutions in Ghana. So if you set up a law and say that the OSP is supposed to go after political corruption, and the Attorney General, the OSP is going after certain people that the Attorney General don't want the OSP to go after, Attorney General can in so many ways frustrate the OSP from performing his duties, because ultimate responsibility for prosecution begins and ends with the Attorney General. I am of the view that if our political leaders are very much serious about giving prosecutorial powers to an independent body to prosecute them, then they ought to look at Article 88 and temper with giving complete freedom to an Attorney General who is not a politician, who is not a member of cabinet, who will not have any moral obligation to protect anybody in cabinet, and give him that power. And let's see what will happen in this country. As it stands now, no matter who is the OSP, if you initiate certain prosecutions and the Attorney General is uncomfortable with it, there is no way the OSP is going to succeed with those prosecutions.
Is that why you said it's more or less a necessary evil office?
Of course. You see, in this country, people do all kinds of things, and then they come and say, but the big man at the top is doing it, so me too, if I do it, what is wrong with it? And that is why we need to be able to tackle the fight against corruption from the political angle. Because if you are able to get the minister to be disciplined enough to say that this one, I can't do it, because if I do it, there's somebody who can come after me, then the chief director will take a cue from the minister. And all the people working under the chief director will also take a cue from the chief director. But whereby the chief director knows that my boss, who is the minister, is doing it, and the chief director himself is also doing it, the people under the chief director will also be doing it blatantly. And at the end of the day, there will be no accountability, and Ghana is going to bleed.
Forgive me, I lost you. But fast forward, how do we resolve this rift that is coming up between these two agencies or institutions?
Well, I think it was not necessary for this thing to even come into the public domain in the first instance. I want to believe, and I've always stated that despite the fact that the law says the OSP is independent of the Attorney General, the OSP is one of the agencies that works under the Attorney General. And so the Attorney General should be able to pick up the phone and call the OSP and say, well, we need this or we need that. And once that call is placed to the OSP, the OSP must also respect the dignity and authority of the Attorney General and work with them so that we can get to the end of the matter. Because no matter what, there's no way the OSP on its own can succeed in any prosecution if it does not have the backing of the sitting Attorney General. So the OSP must understand that and make itself amenable to working with the Attorney General. Once we have that clarified, I think we can make progress. But the problem now is that we have created a law which says that the OSP is independent. But when you look at our laws generally, the OSP, there's no way the OSP can ever be independent of the Attorney General because of Article 88. Parliament has no power to make any law that takes away powers of the Attorney General, which has been enshrined in Article 88. Parliament could only do so if there's a referendum to amend Article 88. So long as there has not been any referendum, if Parliament passes a law and says we have created a special prosecutor who is independent of the Attorney General, in my respectful view, that law is a lie. There's no way it is going to work. Therefore, I believe that the OSP must see itself as one of the subordinates of the Attorney General and work hand in hand with Attorney General to ensure that we are able to get the justice that we deserve in this country.
Now that the OSP's effort to extradite the Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta from the U.S. has not been successful, can trial be done in his absentia?
I find it problematic, even though I have heard many senior lawyers say that there can be trial in absentia. My reason is simple. Criminal procedure trial is controlled by Act 30. Now, Mr. Speaker, when you read Act 30 very carefully, unfortunately, I don't have my copy before me here. But when you read Act 30 very carefully and you look at trial in absentia can only happen when you have arrested the person, brought the person before the court, and then the court is of the opinion that the attitude of the person is making trial in his or her presence impossible or impracticable. Then the court will order that that person should be sent away so that he or she will be tried in his absence. That's one side. Or the person has been brought to court, granted bail. When it was time for him or her to appear for trial the next day, the person did not come. The person ran away. In that situation, also, the court will proceed to try the person in his or her absentia. I have not seen any provision in Act 30 which allows even the Attorney General or the OSP to bring someone who has not been arrested to court for that person to be tried in his or her absence. I don't think we have any law like that. And so I don't believe that the former finance minister can be tried in his absentia unless he has been arrested and brought before the court. And then when he comes and behaves in such a way that the court thinks that it is impractical to try him in his presence, or he comes and jump bail, then the court will know that yes, he has been brought before me. As it stands now, if the OSP should go and file any charge sheet right now against Ken Ofori-Atta, and the court throws that charge sheet away because Ken Ofori-Atta is not present, we hear many people calling the OSP incompetent all over the place. And I don't think the OSP wants to end that name, which is why I believe it has not even tried with charging him in his absence, let alone proceed to try him in his absence.
So as it stands, he cannot be tried in absentia. He has not been able to, I mean, the OSP has not been successful to extradite him from US to Ghana. What is the way out? If indeed, per the OSP's books, he's committed some crimes that needs to be dealt with.
I believe that the OSP and the Attorney General must work together to ensure that the man has been extradited, because I don't believe he's sick and recovering. If you remember, just about 2 weeks ago, my good friend Kofi Asamoah saw the man and his wife walking on the streets of New York, took a photograph of them and shared it on Facebook. And some of the media houses picked it up and published it. This is not someone who is in his hospital bed recuperating from any surgery. So I want to believe that the OSP and the Attorney General must find a common ground to work together to convince the US courts to give the go-ahead for him to be extradited, brought to Ghana, so that the charges can be brought against him in court and then he can be tried. Until then, I think we'll be going into circles, trying to find out who is more powerful and who is more independent. And at the end of the day, it is not going to help anybody in Ghana.
Now, my very final question has to do with the fact that at the point the OSP declared him wanted and fugitive of the law. Are you confused with the development so far after making that declaration?
I am not confused at all. A wanted person is someone who is being sought after to come and answer questions with the law enforcement agencies. As we speak now, there are investigations that suggest that there's some wrongdoing on the part of the former finance minister. He has so far not made himself available for the law enforcement agencies to be able to get his side of the story. And so it is proper and right that he has been declared wanted. In fact, from what the Honorable Deputy Attorney General has said, it is not only the OSP who is investigating the former finance minister. The Attorney General itself is investigating him, and even Yoko is investigating him. So there are several law enforcement agencies that are looking for him. So it is proper and fit if he has been declared as a wanted person.
Yeah, but counsel, if the OSP mentioned that the processes to extradite him from the US to Ghana has been triggered, and up to date that has not happened. And if you also listen to the Deputy Attorney General so well, I mean, it is the Attorney General that has that mandate to trigger his extradition. So didn't the OSP one way or the other confuse Ghanaians or deceive Ghanaians with what he already claimed, that the process has already begun? I mean, he's been placed on the wanted list, and he had two options, either to come by himself or he will force him out. Clearly, from what we are hearing, I mean, he was operating beyond his powers. He was more or less bluffing. Things that he couldn't do, he was claiming he could do.
Well, let's look at the OSP like the Ghana Police Service. If the Ghana Police Service is looking for someone to arrest and the person runs out of the country, the Ghana Police Service, just like the OSP, will place that person on a wanted list. And if it is not able to find that person within Ghana, the Ghana Police Service will go ahead to place that person on the red alert of Interpol. Then it will now write to the Attorney General to assist it to get the person extradited from wherever they are to bring them back to Ghana. It is pretty much the same thing that the OSP is doing. So I agree with the OSP. If the OSP says that the processes have been triggered, they have been triggered because before you can get the person extradited, some of the steps you need to take includes declaring the person wanted. After declaring the person wanted, you take steps to put the person on red alert of Interpol. After you have put the person on red alert on Interpol, you now go to court in Ghana to convince the court of Ghana that there is a need for the person to be extradited. And once you have convinced the court of Ghana will now give you the go-ahead to go and convince the court in the US or wherever the person is hiding to get the person arrested and brought back to Ghana. And so indeed, the processes began when the OSP actually placed Ken Oforiatta on the wanted list. And the processes are still ongoing. Even though, as we speak now, it looks as if there's a standstill between the OSP and the Attorney General. Therefore, the processes are stalled. But to be fair to the OSP, the processes had actually begun at the time he said the processes had begun, because at that time, he had taken steps to put the man on the wanted list, and he had even gone ahead to place him on the red alert. So where we are in the process is that now he needs to collaborate with the Attorney General to get the necessary court documentations to enable the US authorities, if they will, to arrest him and bring him back to Ghana.
All right, Counsel, most grateful for your time on Newsnight this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
So that was a private legal practitioner, lawyer Richard Niyama, speaking with us on the supposed rift between the OSP and that of the AG, whose interest is being served. Is it Ghana or what? Well, Newsnight to go for a commercial break. When we are back, do you know that about 42 new HIV cases are recorded every